In the last video, we saw how to install the Ionic native geolocation plugin, and also we added the Cordova plugin for geolocation as well. Right now in this video, briefly, I will show you how we can use the geolocation plugin to get our coordinates. So if I go back to the documentation right here, you can see we've installed the plugins, and also we added the plugins into our app.module.ts file. Now the supported platforms for this module are the Amazon Fire OS, Android, the browser, iOS, and Windows. So these are the platforms where we can use this Ionic native geolocation plugin. Now the next thing to do if we want to make use of this plugin is to import the geolocation plugin inside the class where we want to make use of the plugin. So right now I'll copy this. Let me just copy this one out here. If I go back to my project, if I go into the pages folder, you can see we have the home and the list folders. Later we are going to delete this home folder and also this list folder. So we are going to create our home folder so that it's going to add the home.module.ts, because the way it is, one file is missing from this folder. So we are going to delete this folder later, not in this video. Then we are going to create a new page called home, which is going to add the home.module.ts file. So for now, inside our home.ts, right here, you can see at the top, we imported, or automatically this component was imported from Angular Core. And also this nav controller, I explained what this nav controller does. It allows us to navigate between pages in our Ionic application, and it was imported from Ionic Angular. So now we've copied this, let's add it right here. So because we want to use it inside this class, we are importing the geolocation plugin. Now we have this at components decorator, and inside this decorator we have the object with selector, page name, and also the template URL. Now this template URL is this home.html file we have right here. So whatever we want to render will be rendered inside this home.html file. Then for the selector, if we want to use this page, then we use this selector, which is page-home. Now we've added this. The next thing to do is to inject it into our constructor. So right here, what I'll do, let me just bring this one down. So I'll inject the geolocation plugin into our constructor. I would say private, then geolocation, location, then of type geolocation. So I've injected it into our constructor. The next thing we need to do is, let's go back here. Let's go back. Now there are two things, or two ways we can go about this. We can get the current position of the device immediately. Then we can use that data. Then also we can watch if the device location changes. If it changes, we can also get the coordinates. So maybe if the user moves from one location to another with a different coordinates, with this method we can get the new coordinates. So whenever the coordinate changes, with this watch position method, we can get the new coordinates. But for now, let's just copy this gets current position, which returns a promise. So I'll copy this one out here, then go into the home.ts file. Down here, I'll create a function, call it getCodes. Now inside this function, I'll just paste in the codes. Now from this value here, we can get the latitude and longitude. So to get that, so let me do a console.log. I'll use the template string, which is the double backticks. Then I'll say latitude then use this reps dot coords dot latitude. Then I'll do the same for the longitude. So this is going to be longitude. It's going to be reps dot coords dot longitude. So here now we are going to see the latitude and longitude of our location displayed in the console. Now to use this, I'm not going to use this inside the constructor because this constructor is called before the page loads. So I want to call it inside an event called Ion view did load. Now I explained this in the last section. Now this is called once when the view loads. So this Ion view did load is always called once. So to call the function we just created, I'll use this dot get coords. Because we are using TypeScript, we don't need to add the function this way. It's going to give us an error, so we don't need this. That was why we just added the name. Now if you want to go further, you can add a return type here. Because we are returning void, you can just specify the return type instead of here. Sorry, it's going to be here. You can just specify the return type. If maybe your function is returning a string, you can just return string. Whatever return type you want to use, you can just pass it right here. But here we are returning void, so we don't need to pass it. So we are calling the method inside this Ion view did load. So what it's going to do is it's going to get our current position, then display it in the console. Else it's just going to display this error message. So I'll save this, then go to the browser right here. See, the page is loading. It's going to request. Now it's requesting to know my location. So if I click on this now to allow, or I click on this to block. Now if I block, we will not be able to get the location. But if I allow, then the coordinates will be displayed in the console. So I'll click on this, allow, then open the console so that we see the results. So right here you can see the latitude, the coordinates for latitude, and the coordinate for the longitude. So with this now, if I refresh the page, right now it's not going to request for us to allow the application to know our location because we already have it right here. So in here you can see we have it being displayed. Now if I want to clear, I can just click right here, then click this, clear these settings for future visits. So if I clear this and I refresh the page, now it's going to request to know our location. So clear here. Right now you can see it's requesting to know our location. If I allow, now we have the longitude and the latitude being displayed. So now we have a way of getting the longitude and the latitude of our current location. With this, we're going to pass it into the Open Weather Map API so that we can return the weather information for that particular city.